Hello, welcome in. This is Cleo Ra, and this is going to be a Loot Lounge reading. So I hope you're all ready for the success that's dying to get into your life. And I'm just going to jump straight in and see what the divine thinks is the most important message for you all. And yeah, thank you for all your likes, comments, all of that good stuff. It's great to have you here. Now let's see, higher beings, ancient ones, ancestors, spirit guides. What's the message about my viewers' success? What do you want them to know? Two of Cups. Okay, so I'm getting a partnership. A very successful partnership is going to get you, onto that frequency where your loot can flow in. So this could be business. This could be something else. Let me have a look. Show me. What's this Two of Cups connected to? Okay. Got the Eight of Swords, the Sun. Show me one more. And the Three of Swords. Okay. This is crazy. Okay. It's almost like a redo in your life. Okay. Something that has been hurtful for you. I'm hearing that it ended for all the right reasons. So this could be you losing a job or something like that. Something that gave you anxiety. Something that made you think you weren't going to get everything that you want has actually made way for a better deal. Show me. What's the next card? King of Wands. Okay, so I'm getting that this is you going solo. This is you being an entrepreneur. So I'm getting this partnership is with your higher self, okay? And something happened. It could have been a breakup. It could have been you losing a job. It could have been you falling out with a family member or something like that. But what this, and I'm hearing you were quite devastated about it, what this has actually done for you, it's made way for you to start something up on your own, okay? Spirit's being a bit cheeky here and showing me these energies, making me feel these energies of, the universe working in really mysterious ways. And for you, it was like such a detour, this thing that happened, that you never thought it could end up being better. You never thought this pathway with the anxiety and the sort of feeling tied up and burdened and hurt by something that happened. You never thought this could lead to a better pathway. But I'm getting that this was kind of the universe being mysterious in the sense that this thing that hurt you or this thing that you thought would ruin your life actually led you to being more independent and more powerful. So the universe is chuckling here and saying, sometimes the things that we think are the worst things that could ever happen to us actually lead us down a pathway where we get our ultimate fulfillment. And I see that that's what's happening here. You found your higher self, you found a different version of yourself, and you met up with other energies and kind of got into a situation where whatever you were doing here was kind of, without you realizing it, stopping you meeting up with this higher version of yourself. So you've done that now, or maybe you're moving into this. Maybe this is something you haven't yet done, but this is you really blending with your higher self and seeing things from a much more multi-dimensional level and feeling actually quite grateful that this hurtful thing happened. And like I say, this doesn't have to be love. This could be anything that spurred you onto this pathway of pure power, independence. The King of Wands is very inspired, very ahead of the game. So I'm getting that, you've now got a new idea, or you had a new idea, that you're going to be blending into your physical reality, and it's going to be bringing you all of your loot. So they really want to get across, your spirit guides really want to get across that if you haven't yet realized it, and this could take your breath away because my breath literally got taken away just then. If you haven't yet realized that something troubling in your life led you to the sun and led you to your higher self, you're going to realize that that thing that felt so awful is actually a blessing in disguise. And, this is about your own business power. This is about you finding your niche in a way that is so much more fulfilling than whatever was going on down here. The sun is higher up than these two cards. So, something sort of forced you to kind of step up to the plate or have new ideas or really rely on yourself in a whole new way. And this is leading you. I'm seeing a garden that's just overflowing with growth and overflowing with beautiful things. And you would never have got to this garden if you would have stayed in this situation. So the universe had to make something happen here to stop you on this lower pathway. And it might not have felt like a lower pathway at the time. It might have felt like your ultimate fulfillment. but you were made for greater things. And sometimes the greater the thing, the trixier the universe has to be to get you in that position, because we will often follow the path of least resistance to the point where we'll go round and round in circles, or we'll be too comfortable in that lane. But the universe had to get you up to the super highway of life. Okay, so I'm getting a lot of gumption. You've put a lot of guts into something, and, you know, trusting yourself. You've put a lot of confidence into yourself. And I feel like this was your soul's challenge, to put a lot of confidence into yourself, that you are the leader, that you are the boss. So perhaps, you know, for example, this is a typical scenario where maybe you get made redundant, or maybe you get fired from a job that you thought would be reliable your whole life, something like that. And it actually leads you to realizing that you can do a better job or be a better boss than your ex-boss. It's that kind of energy here. You've got the fire. I'm hearing you've got the flavor. Okay, but you had to realize that, and the universe had to kick you out of something or create a storyline in whatever way it could, because everything has to harmonize with everything else. So the universe was actually doing you a real big favor. The universe was giving you your golden ticket by ending this situation down here. And I'm hearing it would have gone stagnant anyway. So as much as it might have been hurtful at the time or bothersome at the time, you know, it would have been even worse if you'd have stayed in it, because you had to get up to this higher pathway, and you had to relinquish, you know, maybe a dependence on a certain routine or something you thought was reliable, and really gain sovereign mastery over the creation of your own reality. So the King of Wands is a Leo energy. The Two of Cups, we've got Cancer energy here. You know, you had to get into your feelings more with this higher pathway in order to sort of unlock. They're showing me a hatch, almost like it's on an attic, and you had to sort of unlock this hatch and let your higher self energy sort of flow down through your crown chakra and turn you into the person you are today. And they want me to show you this King of Wands, you know, lots of mechanisms here, and I'm getting sort of like lots of pies for you to get your fingers into, right? But they want me to show you the crown here. And it's almost like, you know, the options you have now to create your dream reality, to get that wealth, to get that loot, to achieve what you want to achieve, they're so numerous. And, you know, it's like that garden. You can grow so many plants in your new lane, on your own highway, that you couldn't grow in this old situation that was controlled by other people. You know, now you're in control, and that's your pathway to loot. We've got a Queen of Pentacles popping her way out here. So I'm going to pop that on the table. You know, this is about the fulfillment of the heart on the physical plane. So something about the old scenario was actually stifling your heart, and actually sort of, it was like a, you know, imagine a little lawn. You've got a garden, and it's got a little white picket fence, and the lawn's all nicely trimmed, and it looks cute. It looks reliable. It's a garden. But, you know, you're not allowed to grow wild plants there. And, you know, it's controlled by maybe the neighborhood caretaker. This is just me giving a really quick example. Who won't let you grow new plants because they want it just like that. They want the garden pruned and, you know, really neatly clipped. And there are certain boundaries and certain restrictions on that garden, where now you've moved into your garden of the soul, where there's lots of overgrowth and you can choose what you grow. And I'm getting lavender and basil and palm trees, and it's a much more beautiful garden because it's yours and you've got the control over it. So something's coming in that's going to really fulfill your heart in the physical. And, you know, making money in a sovereign way is a natural byproduct of we. There's a we involved here somehow. So maybe you're getting the right teammates, something like that coming in, particularly with this Two of Cups on the table. But yeah, as I was saying, making money in the sovereign way is a natural byproduct of you cultivating your higher self, bringing your higher aspirations into your mind, allowing them to flourish into your mind, and, you know, finding something you would do quite naturally for free and monetizing it. And that's what I see you doing now. And it's going to bring you such fulfillment with the Queen of Pentacles. All of the queens represent the heart space. So the Queen is about, you know, really anchoring in your love for something. And again, it's very fruitful, the Queen of Pentacles. It's very full of growth and foliage and flora and fauna, I'm getting. So you're growing something using the seeds of your soul this time, and you're finding it much more fulfilling, or you're going to find it much more fulfilling than what you were doing over here. You know, the ending of it enabled you to find your true self. if that makes sense, and often these things seem terrible at the time, don't they? But the sun was shining upon this thing, even as it was hurting you, even as it was causing you maybe anxiety. It was actually boosting you up and forcing you in a way to find your own flavor, to find your own magic, and to do things your way in a very independent way, in a way that's really ahead of the game. All right. So innovation is the key word here. I'm getting that you're really innovating something, moving forward with a project, finding the right deals, signing the right contracts, and you're going to find it very emotionally fulfilling, far more emotionally fulfilling than you maybe could ever have guessed. We've got the 7 of Wands here, a card of protection, defenses, having the right boundaries in our life. But what I'm getting here is that the deals you're making, you're going to be seeing eye to eye with people. Okay, and they're going to be quite defensive of this project as well. I don't know in which way you're going to go into partnership with someone, but it's almost like, your business is really protected. Your energy is very protected. And, you've got the upper hand in business dealings, I'm getting. And, people respect what you're doing. There's a lot of respect on this 7 of Wands, that's going to really transform how you see yourself, but also how you make your money. So something's transforming in the loot lounge area. I'm getting the perfect deal is coming in. It's going to make you really realize, how valuable you are. You're going to have your value reflected back at you in a really magical way with this Queen of Pentacles energy. And it's going to completely transform your whole reality. It's really gorgeous. Queen of Wands here as well. So this is satisfaction in a passionate way. And we do have a match here confirming that you're going to find the right people to work with. And I do really get a work aspect with this reading, but also, it's good to have a great rapport with the people we're working with. So, in your case, business can be very flowing, and you'll find that you have a great rapport with people and you get along with them. All right. They talk about mixing business with pleasure and don't mix business with pleasure and all this sort of thing. And it's not really that vibe I'm getting, but what I'm getting is you're finding like minds who, you might not consider them friends, but they will be really fulfilling to work with. And you've got a mutual respect. There's a lot of dignity to this reading. We've got the 7 of Cups on the bottom of the deck, showing me that you've got so many options, and you're going to feel your way through them and find the ones who have the same outlook as you, the right people to do business with, who share the same kind of honor, and Spirit saying, don't make any quick decisions with this because you're sitting pretty with all these options and you're in control of this. They want you to maintain that CEO level of control, be the boss, and find matching energies, similar sovereign beings to do your work with. And I'm getting that, this partnership you're going into is going to be with someone who's equally dignified. So this could be sort of like a merging where you kind of work together. What's it called? It's a really obvious word. Collaboration. There we go. You're going to collaborate with someone who you hold in high esteem and they hold you in high esteem. Spirit's saying this will be a good deal. You can move forward with this in a beautiful way. We've got the Magician here. So it's almost like the ending of this situation turned you into a master creator of reality, but you had to find your groove. You had to find your feet with this, and you had to really learn to trust yourself and realize that actually you can do it better than the people you were working for before, or, the people who were in charge of the situation that you were dealing with before. We've got the Fool on the bottom of the deck. So there's going to be some kind of fresh start in this arena. All right. The Devil energy. We will clarify this. It's almost like your business is now going through the doorway of it being a spiritual enterprise. I don't know what that's going to mean to you, but the Devil card in the Egyptian meanings of the tarot cards is the matrix of the spirit. So it's the first doorway we have to go through in the creation of our reality, that, we start to get spiritually tested with things. All right. So I'm not getting a malevolent vibe with this Devil card, but what I am getting is that you're starting to realize the symbiosis between your business and your life and, your consciousness. You're doing things in such a spiritual way now that you're realizing your business is an extension of you. Your work is an extension of you, and that it's all held within your consciousness. The Magician reminds us that everything is mind. And, we can't really separate all the different facets of our life. Although down in the 3D world, people do. They're like, well, this is work, this is home, this is my relationship, and it's all separate. But for you, being at this level of the game now, this higher level of the game, you're being sort of prodded by the universe to be like, realize everything you do is an extension of your consciousness or is part of your consciousness. And now your business is such an integral part of who you are, that now you're going to notice that, you kind of get spiritual tests coming up. And this was part of that. Could have been some sort of rejection or ending, but, that was part of your spiritual pursuit, they're telling me, to push you into the pursuit of understanding that everything is spiritual. So, I do feel like now you're moving up a level again. The matrix of the spirit and the matrix of the mind here. So you already went through this doorway of being like, right, I'm going to create this for myself. And now, you're embracing higher spiritual principles and you want to do it right. That's what I'm getting with this devil card. You really want to do it right and make sure you're benefiting people. And, higher aspirations are coming through with this. Show me. Let's clarify the Two of Cups first of all. Four of Swords here. Okay, so, this rest you got when a certain situation ended enabled you to really blend with your higher self. Four of Swords is about recuperation, resting, reflecting, gathering our senses and kind of taking stock of an event. And you did that perfectly well and you found yourself, let's be cheesy, cheese alert, you found yourself during this time. Yeah, Nine of Pentacles on top of the King of Wands. So that garden card, that beautiful fruit on the tree, you're realizing now that you're getting far more fruit because you're in this lane than you ever would have done in that alleyway. They're giving me those references. You're seeing it differently now. And because you're such a boss, the question is coming up. How is your business going to affect the whole world? I feel like you're really thinking about the details and wanting to leave a good impact on people. And I feel like you don't just want to be one of those people who just does your business and doesn't think any further than that. You understand cause and effect and you understand that everyone's living their own personal story. And I feel like there's something really ethical about you and something in you that really wants to make sure that everything you do, every move you make has a good ripple effect and affects people in a positive way. I feel like, even though the money's rolling in and you're doing really well, you want to make sure you don't turn into one of those people that gets, a greedy kind of business mind or loses their sense of humanity or whatever. You want to make sure that you treat your customers as you would wish to be treated. And I feel like, that is your next level of the game, to maintain that sovereignty, that sovereign level of being, even though things are going to get much more successful for you and you are going to be rolling in dough and you are going to be really faced with those energies that so many people get caught in the web of. So many people change or they feel distant from their customers or distant from, the people who actually send them the money. And I feel like you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you stay humble in a way and you do things in the right way, in the good spiritual way, in a golden hearted way. We've got the Page of Cups on top of the Queen of Pentacles. So there could be a bit of business and pleasure, being a higher dimensional being. You're going to be doing business with other higher dimensional beings and they're going to be ethical and lovely like you. Good hearted people can mix business and pleasure. They don't find it difficult to, just be a decent person. So I do feel like you could be having friendships that really enhance your business, working with loads of great people. And it's going to feel idealistic. You're pulling in a lot of imaginative people who have high ideals like you. So it's going to be really relaxing, I feel like, to come across people who simply want to do good things and make money at the same time. So that's looking really good. We've got the Nine of Wands here. Show me one more, because this is a card about having good boundaries. And the Four of Wands. Okay, so what I'm getting is when you went through this kind of doorway with the Magician of being like, this might feel different, this might feel uncomfortable, but I am in control of my reality and I'm going to move into this energy and start to be comfortable with it. You developed really good boundaries and, I feel like Spirit wants to reassure you, you don't really have to worry too much about shoddy people now, because you're on a really good frequency, and it's leading you to this kind of celebratory, stable, with the fours representing that stability, a kind of stable, celebratory stage in your conjurings and in your business. So it looks like you could be having a big party, a big gathering, something to celebrate how far you've come and the fact that you've become a whole new person. And, you know, I feel like you're going to feel like your soul is singing or your heart is flying or something like that. We've got the Seven of Cups here. Lots of options, okay? And again, you're going to find the right one. Maybe you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed right now with all the options in business, but they're saying, you know, look for the ones who are honorable like you, okay? There'll be someone you come across. You might not be quite sure of them at first because they're not quite sure of you, but soon you will realize that you both have the same high ideals, okay? I feel like you could both be quite defensive because you know what the world can be like. But as soon as you kind of warm up to one another, you're going to realize that they've got the key and you've got the key for them. There's a meeting in the middle here where you could really engineer something that's really beneficial for you both or for both of your businesses. Show me the Death card. Queen of Pentacles again. So again, transforming something in a way that makes your garden flourish and makes your heart sing, okay? Stable wealth here. You could even be working from home or taking a more homely approach to your job. You know, this could be about you being, you know, more of your true self, more of the side of yourself you would normally be at home, but taking that side of yourself outdoors, taking your comfortable indoor self outdoors and realizing, you know, people really like you. And, you know, you're flowing at a whole new level. So this is about bringing all of yourself into your dealings, you know, and realizing that, you know, I am actually the key here. I am actually the one doing all of this. It's actually my spirit that is making this work so well. So this is about realizing how likable you are as well, I feel, with this Queen of Pentacles, and realizing that people really like getting to know you. And you know, it's all good with the Queen of Pentacles. This is about feeling much more comfortable in your work as well. And again, I'm just getting making friends, you know, having those sort of business dealings where you can be friends for life, trusting people. There are no narcissists on this table, despite the Devil card and the Magician. There are no narcissists on this table. Wheel of Fortune here on the Queen of Wands. So I feel like you're going to be, you know, taking a passionate spin of the wheel that's going to take you in a beautiful direction here, and also organizing your options, because we can see there's all these symbols on this card with the Seven of Cups, and they've been organized here with the Wheel of Fortune. You could also be looking into astrology and getting a reading done, a birth chart reading where you kind of start to understand yourself more, I'm getting, and that could really help with your business as well. Show me one more. Focusing on what brings you passion. Five of Pentacles here. Show me. So you could be giving someone a shot. Yeah, you could be taking a chance on somebody who others might not take a chance on. Maybe they haven't got the right resume. Maybe their history is a little bit, you know, judgeable if you're a judgmental person. But I feel like you're going to see potential in someone or something that others would not see potential in. And you're going to read this person's soul perfectly and give them a shot because you can see the godlike nature in them. And, you know, often the people who are most amazing often don't fit in mainstream society. So I do feel like you're going to be giving someone a chance who hasn't really fit in well with a system, you know, created by some random person. And, you know, you're going to read their soul and give them a chance. And I feel like they're going to be very beneficial to you. Show me this Devil card. Two of Cups. So right now, as you go through this doorway and bring more of your spiritual nature into your work, it's going to bring lots of rewarding partnerships into your life. And again, I do see you taking a chance on working with someone or dealing with someone who maybe reminds you of you when you were younger. But for some reason, you can really see the potential in this person. I don't know when this is going to come along, but you're going to take a chance on someone and nurture the greatness out of them. You know, this is kind of like a movie where, you know, they don't have the credentials in the conventional sense, but their spirit is their credentials, if that makes sense. Show me one. Clumps coming out. This person's got so much potential. It's coming out in these cards. humor. Okay, so lots of good fun, lots of laughs. You're seeing the funny side in this old situation and transmuting any of those feelings of anxiety, etc., into a higher energy where you're like, whoa, I can see the grand scheme of things now. I can see the overview, and it's making me realize how beautiful the universe is and how magical the universe is at clicking things into place in the right way. I do feel like you could be being a mentor to somebody, or, you know, taking somebody under your wing who you just have a rapport with, this person I mentioned here, and you just click with them, you know, like an apprentice type person. I feel like you're going to see the potential in them. This is really important, this message, because you've got a lot of teaching capacity. We've got the second house. Okay, you seeing the value that others can't see in that person. But also, it's almost like a repeat of you finding the value in yourself and realizing that the 3D world with all the paperwork and all the, you know, I'm not saying we don't have to do certain things, you know, whatever. There's always a bit of paperwork, but it's almost like your life is becoming so spiritual, you don't have to worry about that anymore. You're just going to be able to read people's souls in a much more beautiful way. And I feel like you're going to be realizing this. You're going to be seeing this beautiful sort of sunset in your life where everything's a lot simpler now because you're seeing things in a spiritually attuned way. Second house, your value and the value of others. Mars energy. So Mars is about drive. Could be about, you know, having the fight in you to kind of create something, not in a combatant way, but just being driven to get something created your way or do something your way. Again, I'm saying all this like you've already done it, but this is a tarot reading. So, you know, you could be on the verge of really moving forward with some idea and making huge amounts of money from it. So this is a thumbs up from the universe. If, you know, this reading resonates, that you are ready to do that. You're ready to be the driver in the car, metaphorically speaking, rather than being the passenger in someone else's business. You know, you are the one who's got to take the wheel now and, you know, take a chance on yourself, you know. Virgo energy, neatness, organization, healing, cleansing. I'm getting you're cleansing out the old energies by taking stock and realizing how blessed it was, how blessed you were to get away from this old situation. And I've got midheaven here, which is all about career. So you might want to find out what your midheaven is in your birth chart. And the midheaven, it almost umbrellas the birth chart, and it gives you a new sort of vantage point on how you come across in your career, your general energy. But also I'm getting that this is to do with you being in maybe a teaching kind of positioning, or, you know, an older positioning where you can kind of help younger people really find their potential. That's for somebody. Show me one more. Gemini energy. Okay. Mutability. Understanding how adaptable you are. Understanding that, you know, sometimes the things that we're most uncomfortable with, they actually represent the direction we should be going in. And I feel like that's what's happened to you, or that's what's currently happening to you. So check out your North Node, because often the thing that we kind of pull away from, it's on our radar for a reason. So being the boss could take some shape shifting, but they're saying you'll feel way more comfortable with this than you might realize now. And often that happens, you know, because we're supposed to go in the opposite direction often to that which we're comfortable with. And your North Node is always opposite to your South Node. And your South Node is where you're most comfortable. It's the skills and energies you've got really good at in this life and previous lives. But we often need to stretch our soul out and adapt and mutate and expand our consciousness in the opposite way than what we're already comfortable with. And I see you doing that, or you've already done that. So that thing you're thinking of, or that thing you thought of in the past you'd be uncomfortable with, you're now really comfortable with it, or you're going to get really comfortable with it. Again, check out your midheaven. I've got Cancer here as well. So I do feel like, you know, nurturing people through your work is a pivotal part of your success. Doing nice things for people and leading from the heart. And this is going to really bring you celebrations and good people to work with. Cancer, Sagittarius. Yeah, following your heart will help you hit the target. Okay. And maintaining your drive, maintaining the fire is really important as well. Okay. Again, I do feel like your work is very nurturing to people with the sacral chakra and the key card coming out. So being as kind as you can to people. You've already developed really good boundaries. I feel you'll be doing this. And then, you know, this is about creativity, branching out, taking chances that feel good to your heart. You're going to be unlocking a whole new door. And they're saying just maintain that spiritual outlook on your work and everything will flow beautifully for you. I hope this reading's helped. Lots of love. Mwah.